Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today we're going to be showcasing to you guys the World Championship Masters Division winning deck, run very successfully by Jacob Van Wagner. It has to be by far one of the fastest final games that I have ever witnessed. I mean, just this deck is just so dominating. It's actually absolutely incredible. So anyways, this deck really revolves around the Blastoise with the Deluge ability, and I mean, normally this deck would do very poorly against Seismitoad EX unless we do get that turn 1 Archesis in the hole. Now that we do have the Ancient Origin set, this deck is of course no longer going to be viable because we could potentially always see that turn 1 Vileplume item lock. So Blastoise is just an integral part of our strategy, so we're going to have to try and send it into our discard pile nice and early, and then go right ahead and fetch it out using that Archie's Ace in the Hole. So Archie's Ace in the Hole, really nice card, and it's essentially the way with which we can propagate that Blastoise strategy. So we'll be seeing a total of 2 copies of the Archie's Ace in the Hole in Jacob Van Wagner's respective deck. Let's actually discuss the main attacker for this deck. Again, it sort of depends on the situation, but definitely one of the most powerful and most consistent attackers that we saw that Jacob Van Wagner was running was the Keldeo EX, which possesses the Russian ability and the Secret Sword attack. So Secret Sword does more and more damage per water energy card attached to that Keldeo EX, and Russian allows us to repeatedly switch in and out between our Pokemon. So this is a very successful counter to Seismitoad EX. I mean, even if Seismitoad EX can successfully put us under the poisoned and sleep condition, Keldeo EX can easily bypass that, simply rushing in, and then we see, I mean, as long as of course there are 2 Keldeo EX, we can go right ahead and see Keldeo EX rushing in, and that pretty much cures the status conditions. So this is definitely a smart play by Jacob. We also of course see the Articuno, which was a pretty interesting Pokemon, but its main purpose was to deal with those Night March decks. So Night March we actually saw quite a bit of in the top 8. I believe there was 2 Night March decks that managed to make it in the top 8. Articuno allows us to snatch up 1 more prize card per knockout, so all we really need is a single heads with the Tri-Edge attack, and that will allow Jacob to grab 2 prize cards per every Night March Pokemon that he does knock out. So Articuno definitely seems to go a long way in this deck, so we do see Jacob running at least a single copy of that. We also see a single copy of that Wailord EX. Again, its main purpose was to serve as a very difficult and efficient wall for those Night March Pokemon to get through. I mean, we're almost never going to see a Night March Pokemon hit as high as 250 damage in a single attack, so that's precisely what makes the Wailord EX such a deadly and powerful Pokemon against those Night March decks respectively. So we do see it with 250 HP, and its high breaching attack hits for exactly 120 damage. That's just enough to knock out that Mew EX in a single attack, so that is really nice and smart thinking there by Jacob. So we do see a single copy of that Wailord EX. An alternative attacker that we see as well, guys, is the Mewtwo EX. This is pretty much the last attacker of the deck. It has the X-Ball and the Side Drive attack. Of course, we're only going to be focusing on the X-Ball attack because all we do see are those water energy cards. Now discussing some of the Pokemon that are integral to the deck strategy. First of all, let's discuss the Execute. Definitely a huge and important Pokemon to include in this deck. I mean, as soon as we send them into our discard pile, then whenever we do make usage of cards such as the Ultra Ball, we can always grab these Pokemon out from that discard pile, put them into our hand, and then we can go right ahead and trim our hand right back down. So Execute plays a huge part. We do see 2 of them in this deck. We also see 2 copies of the Jirachi EX. It has the Stellar Guidance ability. This can allow us to make use of the Archie's Ace in the Hole during our first turn if we happen to have one in our deck. So we do have to be a little bit careful with our battle compressors, but yeah, Jirachi EX is definitely another very important Pokemon in this deck. And of course, the very last Pokemon that Jacob ran was the Shaman EX. We saw it just really pull through in that second match. I mean, otherwise we would not have seen that turn 1 Archie's Ace in the Hole during the second game that Jacob was playing. So Shaman EX, just another very important Pokemon. We do see 2 of these in this deck. 4 copies of the Acrobike and 4 copies of the Trainer's Mail are pretty much to give some consistency with respects to drawing onto those useful cards and hopefully propagating a turn 1 Archie's Ace in the Hole. 4 Battle Compressors allowed Jacob to get, of course, those Blastoises, potentially those Archie's Ace in the Hole in the discard pile. Again, it sort of depends on whether or not he had a VS Seeker in his hand, and of course those executes as well. So Battle Compressor really important. We see 4 copies of it being run in this deck. I mean, I know it seems excessive, but it is important to that deck's consistency and just repeatedly getting those turn 1 Archie's Ace in the Holes. We also saw the Computer Search. Again, definitely the A-Spec card to go with, just to increase the likelihood of getting those turn 1 Archie's Ace in the Hole. So this was the A-Spec card of choice. We saw 4 Superior Energy Retrievals. Jacob, of course, didn't really make much use of them in that final match, of course, because he was item locked. So Superior Energy Retrieval pretty much effective against any other deck. Against those item locked decks, unfortunately, not so much. We also saw, of course, 4 Ultra Balls just to allow Jacob to trim down his hand, and then of course grab the Pokemon that he needs, respectively speaking, those Shaman EXs, those Drachi EXs, and things like that. 4 VS Seekers just to reuse any of those supporter cards. We actually only see 3 Draw supporters, so only 2 Junipers and 1 N. Again, just because they're very difficult to get rid of from our hand. If we do actually have them, so that was definitely a smart play by Jacob. We see, of course, 2 Archie's Ace in the Hole, a single Lysander as well, 2 Rough Seas just to repeatedly provide those water type Pokemon with some healing, a single Floatstone and 1 Muscle Band as well, and a total of 11 water energy cards. So I feel like the best way to actually see what this deck is capable of is to see it in action. Now, unfortunately, with the Ancient Origin set release, this deck would just not work. The reason being, of course, because we can often see those turn 1 item locks going because of the Vileplume. So it's definitely kind of troubling to deal with. So I'm going to go with the Tails and hope that I start off first. Okay, looks like our opponent's going to start off first. I did see Grass type Pokemon in there. I hope we don't see turn 1 item lock. We do see the Forest of Giant Plants, guys. I mean, that would just be kind of unfair against us. So I think I'm going to start off with the Whaler DX as our active Pokemon for now. I'm going to stick with that Calyrex in our hand. I mean, I may just have to give it up if I'm using the Ultra Ball or something like that, for example. I mean, it's best to hold on to as many cards as possible in that hand, just temporarily. So let's stick with that Calyrex, and we do see that Spin Rack. Okay, so I'm hoping we don't see the Vileplume, or at the very least, if we do see a Vileplume, I hope we don't see a turn 1 item lock, because I mean, that pretty much negates Jacob's entire deck strategy, just because he does run a whole lot of item type cards. Okay, so we're going to see a Sceptile EX deck. In fact, this deck almost looks identical to the one that I had taken a look at, guys, with the exception, of course, of those Herbal Energies. I had not run any of those in my deck, so yeah, so it looks like our opponent is going to be running a Sceptile EX Ariados deck, which of course I took a look at very recently. So I'm going to start off with the Battle Compressor, definitely a very important card to make use of. So let's take a good look at our deck first. Those Executes, definitely cards that I do want in that discard pile. I do have the VS Seeker as well, so maybe sending an Archie's Ace in the Hole, and I do have the Blastoise. I can absolutely send that in our discard pile using the Ultra Ball, so I think this would probably be the ideal. And yes, we do have an Archie's Ace in the Hole. Do we have one more Blastoise? No, it looks like we actually have one of our Blastoises, which are prized. So let's go right ahead and send 2 Executes and the Archie's Ace in the Hole in our discard pile. Let's go and use that Acrobike. Ultra Ball, yes, I think Ultra Ball is the card to go with just to trim down that hand. Alright, so let's go and bring out a Calyrex EX. I'm going to go and attach a Water Energy card. I mean, I can definitely work with what we've got going on here. So let's see. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to have to send that Blastoise in that discard pile. Let's go and use that Propagation. I'm going to go and use that Ultra Ball, get rid of that Execute, and the Blastoise. I think I'd like to bring out one more Calyrex onto that bench, guys, just to repeatedly get those switches in between those respective Pokemon. I have one more Ultra Ball. I can make use of that, or I could look for a Water Energy card. Well, of course, no, actually, that would not be smart. Yeah, let's actually go and look for one more one more Pokemon. So let's go and use Propagation. Let me just take a look at. Okay, so we do have Blastoise and Archie's Ace in the Hole. Just wanted to make sure so I don't actually make any sorts of mistakes here. In fact, Mewtwo EX would probably be a pretty fantastic attacker in this situation as well. So let's go and give up 2 cards from our hand, look for that Mewtwo EX, and then we're going to be able to pull off that turn 1 Archie's Ace in the Hole. So this deck definitely does seem to have been heavily tested. Let's go and use that Archie's Ace in the Hole, bring out that Blastoise, and we'll be able to dish out lots and lots of damage. So we only have one Water Energy card in our discard pile. Would love to knock out that Zubat, guys. So let's go and use that Trainer's Mail. Floatstone or Archie's Hole. Yeah, definitely Floatstone. I think would be the better card to draw onto. Let's go and attach that to that Keldeo EX, and then I'm going to go and use our Pokemon's abilities. Let's go and get 2 executes on to that hand, and we should be able to knock out that Zubat in a single attack. Let's go and use that Superior Energy Retrieval. Get rid of those 2 executes. Look for a Water Energy card, and then use that Demolish to attach 1 Water Energy card and 2 Water Energy cards on to that Mewtwo EX. I definitely think this is going to be the main attacker of our deck, just because the remainder of our Pokemon are can take a lot of damage from those grass type Pokemon. So let's go and rush in, retreat, bring out that Mewtwo EX, hit for exactly 40 damage to knock out that Zubat and draw onto a prize card. So that Sceptile EX can hit us for 150 damage. If of course it poisons us, and of course successfully makes use of that Unseen Claw. So hopefully our Mewtwo EX will be able to survive with just a little bit of HP remaining. So let's see how things go, guys. I mean, if we see our opponent running the Burbank City Gym, which I don't think he is. I mean, I think he's focusing on strictly XY on. Otherwise, I don't really know why he's running the Professor Birch's Observation. Okay, so we're only going to get hit for 80 damage. We don't actually see that Ariados out just yet. Let's go and use that Trainer's Mail. We have a computer search. That could certainly help out. But I think I'm definitely going to go for the Professor Juniper, guys. Let's see, do we have another Blastoise that I can send in the discard pile and then use an Archie's Hole? In fact, I'm pretty sure we have it prized. So let's actually go and take a look, guys. So what do we have here? Well, I mean, I could send another one of our water Pokemon in that discard pile, but that wouldn't really be all that smart. I'd much rather make use of that Archie's Ace in the hole. So I guess we can get rid of a Shaman EX. Could be a bit of a liability Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it for now, guys. I don't really want to get any more of our cards in that discard pile. Just, maybe I should have actually gotten some water. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to get some water energy cards in that discard pile. Luckily, we do have the computer search in our hand. So let's go and propagate those Pokemon and put them back in that hand. Let's go and use that computer search. I definitely do need to familiarize myself with this deck. Let's go and use that Battle Compressor. 1 Water Energy card, 2 Water Energy cards, 3 Water Energy cards. Let's go and bring those executes back into that hand. And we're going to go and use that Superior Energy Retrieval, get rid of those 2 executes, grab onto those 3 Water Energy cards. Could have actually been 4 had I played things a little bit smarter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can hit it for 140 damage. Should be able to draw into some more Water Energy cards, guys. I'm actually feeling pretty confident. So let's go and use the Ledge, attach 1 Water Energy card on to that Mewtwo EX. Another Water Energy card, 1 more Water Energy card. I'm hoping I don't regret this, but let's go and use that Professor Juniper. Okay, so we have 1 more Water Energy card. So that is 5, 6, 7, 8. I still need 1. Well, I have the Muscle Band actually. Yeah, so this is just the perfect amount. And then let's go right ahead and hit for 180 damage, knocking out that Sceptile EX. Yeah, so I'm actually very, very impressed with this deck already. Again, I'm just really thankful that we didn't see a turn 1 item lock. Our opponent definitely has the typing advantage, but we definitely seem to be performing quite well. Alright, so I mean, we don't really have. I could knock out that Sceptile EX, so that is 6 energy, 7, 140, 160 with the Muscle Band. Yeah, so we'll be able to knock out that Sceptile EX as well. Yeah, so this deck seems to be very dominating right now, guys. Let's go and use X-Ball. 180 damage one more time, and we may just see the opponent quit the game. I don't blame him if that is what he's gonna do. But yeah, so yeah, so I'm really hoping you guys are impressed with this deck, because I am. Definitely seems to be an incredibly powerful deck. Let's actually see the stats earned in this. So we've dealt out a total of 400 damage, and how many turns actually did we have? Okay, so it doesn't actually tell us how many turns, but we're already able to draw into 5 prize cards very quickly, only 4 minutes and 43 seconds. So we can definitely figure out why the game didn't last a long time when Jacob was facing Mies. So that is going to be it, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also be sure to check out those annotations for my previous video and a random video as well. And that is going to be it. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.